Yo, what's up, YouTube? Today we are talking about my top 12 albums of the year so far. Why 12 instead of 10, you might be asking, because there are two albums that I needed to include in this list. Because I would say, looking at it, like 12, 12 to really the top five are all in a similar kind of range, So I kind of wanted to separate it. A couple of honorable mentions that I want to get out of the way real quick right here. Life is Beautiful. Ooh, Life is Beautiful by Larry June, 2 Chainz, and The Alchemist. This is a great short little project here, super fun. Revisited a good bit. I Love You Again by Reason, Reason's mixtape from this year. I thought this was a cool and very underrated project. Fun listen. I would recommend checking it out. As well as Alfredo 2 by Freddie Gibbs and The Alchemist. Another great project with amazing production, good raps from Freddie. Overall, just super solid track list up and down. But before we get to this top 12, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share. I appreciate you guys tuning in today. It does mean a lot to me. Comment your top, 3, 5. Go for your 12 albums of the year if you want in the comments. Put me on to some stuff. I haven't went out of my way to listen to a whole bunch of not super mainstream stuff this year. So if you have Rex, definitely put me on in the comments, because this has been the type of year where I'm going back more to old music than checking out every single new project that comes out. But yeah, if this is your first time tuning in, I appreciate it. Love to have you here over at the Talking Hip Hop community. Please show some love. Check me out on the IG. Let's get it started, though. Number 12. Everyone wants to say that this has been that New York is no longer, New York's been fell off in terms of being the biggest city in rap, being the best city in rap. But Atlanta started to fall off too. Obviously, Cali's at the top right now. Shout out to Texas as well in terms of like regional music, regional sounds. We also got some Chicago love on this list. And, maybe it's just my New York bias personally, because the New York guy, big New York rap head here. So you might see my bias shining through, because it's not like I have any projects from any up-and-coming New York rappers, but there's a lot of New York representation on here. Starting off with my number 12 pick, Supreme Clientele 2 by Ghostface Killah. Released through Nas's a Mass Appeal record label. This was a nice little album to come out towards the end of August. I don't know if it necessarily deserves the title of Supreme Clientele 2. It's not quite, this cinematic follow-up to Ghostface Killah's best album, one of the best solo Wu-Tang Clan albums as well. But this is a solid track list. There's not really any bad songs here. You get like a cool concept song on here with The Trial, with Ghostface, Raekwon, Method Man kind of rapping from different perspectives in a courtroom of, coming in as the judge, the defendant, all that stuff. You get some also kind of conceptually based songs like break beats and beatbox, where Ghostface Killah is kind of going into, again, rapping over beatboxing and using the break beats and kind of taking it back to, the core fundamentals of hip-hop according to Kool G Rap. Some cool moments like that on here. My favorite songs, taking a look at the track list right now, Georgie Porgy, definitely a highlight. One of my favorites, and Metaphysics, I think, are my two favorites. If I had to throw a third up there, You My Friend with Method Man. This is a sick rap song where Ghost and Meth are just rapping about their friendship. They're not just friendship in terms of those two, but what friendship means to them and what loyalty means to them. And it is just a very good lyrical track. Here's the closer to the album that I think is given it's just a good, I don't think there's a lot of songs in rap, or as much songs as there should be, that are just about like true brotherhood, and that's what this album is about, where like Ghostface is rapping of, when I pass away, would you come and, take your kids to visit my grave, and like some real like deep shit that he expects from not just his friendships with Meth, but just all the brotherhoods he has in his life. I think that is very cool. One of the reasons it's a highlight for me. But yeah, overall, Ghostface could have done a lot worse in 2025, being in the rap game for 30 years. He's only stacking his discography stronger, if you ask me. Someone who's arguably already a potentially a top 10 rapper of all time is just adding another late career gem to the discography. Now we're moving on to number 12. Another New York native here, but not from this city. Definitely not from Staten Island, like Face, but from Buffalo. We're talking about Heels Have Eyes 2 by Westside Gunn. This wasn't the Westside dropped a couple albums, projects this year. You know, he had 12 come out, which was cool album. I think this is the best solo Westside Gunn album we've had since probably 10. So I was very, very impressed with this track list because Westside, honestly, the whole Griselda collective has kind of reached that. I'm getting kind of a fatigue on them, just to be completely honest. The last couple of years, their newer projects are not doing as much for me as the old ones. I don't know if it's a genuine decline in quality or just, again, overall fatigue. But this right here, this 12-track project is awesome, and it starts off so strong. That run of Heel Cena, Amira Kitchen, and Powerhouse Hobbs is just a great start to the album. Brother Tom Sos, who's got a couple features on here, is awesome. He's like, people been saying about Stove God Cooks, because Stove God Cooks is on here too, and has a show-stealing performance on Brikolai Volkov, by the way. But people are always talking about, oh, where's the Stove God album? Where's the Stove God? And personally, I've been wondering the same thing about Brother Tom Sos, because this guy has the best performances on every Westside Gunn album that he's been on. Amira Kitchen, the best song here. Brikolai Volkov already says is great. A Glorilla, fun track. Blow Hendry with Mike. Awesome collab. I'm not a big fan of Mike. You know, I know all my abstract hip-hop heads out there are going to be like, oh, why don't you fuck with Mike? He's got so many great albums. And I'm sure he does. I've heard a couple. He's definitely a good lyricist, good rapper. Not my personal cup of tea, but I love him on Blow Hendry. And I love how him and Westside work together on Blow Hendry. Again, not a weak track on here. Just overall a great listening experience. Really brings it back to that gritty, stripped back, Buffalo, underground, Griselda sound that Westside Gunn really popularized. Great feature from Benny the Butcher on Powerhouse Hobbs as well. But cracking into the top 10, coming in at number 10, some of that Chicago representation that I talked about. Starline by Chance the Rapper. Also, the reason why I'm kind of harping on the regionality of this list so far is A, because I'm tired of seeing the New York rap disrespect when they have some of the best albums this year. So, because I'm always gonna rep New York and New York hip hop like that. But also, regionality is really becoming a factor again in hip hop. I think it's an awesome thing that we have all these different scenes that are starting to either become popular again or be more popular than ever. I think that's a lot better than having the generic mainstream sound of hip hop. Shout out to regionality. But number 10, Starline. What really holds this album back from being higher? Because yes, if we're being straight up, this album should be higher. Starline has some of the most important, thought-provoking, conceptual tracks, lyrics of any album this year. You know, there are a lot of albums we're going to go past. There's just going to be better quality, but it's not conscious. This is a conscious album right here. This is a really good fucking conscious album. You get the intro, which is great. Ride with Do or Die is a super fun track. But then you have tracks like No More Old Men, The Negro Problem, Back to the Go. Tracks like these are commenting on the racial politics in America, commenting on the socialization and the racism that there still is in the country, but also how that kind of factors through different age generations and different gaps and groupings of men. And No More Old Men, that track with Jamila Woods, again, where Chance is kind of getting to that point, talking about certain issues on that, which again, some of the I would say more important tracks to come out this year are those ones. And I mean, The Negro Problem with BJ the Chicago Kid is a deeply important rap song, again, about that kind of ingrained racism that there is in America, that systemic racism. You see him tap in on that again on a track later on in the album, just a drop with Jay Electronica, which is similar to Mos Def's track off of Black on Both Sides, Water, where Chance the Rapper is using water and the distribution of clean water in America to kind of highlight the racial and socioeconomic disparities between different groups of people in America. I don't care too much for the outro on here, Speed of Love, because you also do have like you have some incredible highs here, right? Also the highs and the lows. It's not the best song of this year, but that's because it didn't come out this year. That song is incredible. I think Chance the Rapper's best rapping performance, as well as one of Joey Badass's best ever as well. Drapetomania with Chief Baby Duet, banger. But the rest of the tracks here, I could really not care that much about. Like, the breakup, divorce tracks, like Link Me in the Future, Space and Time, are, like, cool. They're good, like, chill vibes, but they're not anything, like, too crazy. And they kind of, I think, again, like, this isn't quite a full conscious album because you have all these different themes. This is kind of like a portrait of where Chance has been at since he dropped The Big Day, everything that's happened in his life, kind of summing up what's going on. And I like that. This doesn't have to be a strictly conscious rap album, right? It doesn't have to. I think it's a lot better that it is a portrait of Chance in a way, but also there's definitely inconsistencies with the themes, especially a track like Gun and Yo Purse on here absolutely brings the track list down, has no place here. Burn Your Block, Letters, Speed of Light. I've always been kind of a, not Letters, but Burn Your Block and Speed of Light. Letters is good, but the other two, as well as Gun and Yo Purse, I've been very vocal that I don't care for, and I think severely bring this track list down. But still a great offering from Chance. I think this is probably his second best album, in my opinion. And he garnered my respect back. For number 9, we're bringing it to another Chicago native. Saba and No ID, from the private collection of Saba and No ID. I imagine it's because he's independent, but Saba continues to be one of the most slept-on rappers in the game. I mean, this isn't, it's not really anywhere near as good as Care For Me. It's probably about as good, maybe a little bit better as the album he did a couple years ago, the Pink Flowers on the front. I'm having trouble remembering the name. Saba is just one of the best, like, songwriters, not from, like, making a catchy song perspective, but from, like, full, tight flows, breath control, lyrics. Like, Saba just always excels on a rap verse. Like, he just, it sounds effortless when this guy is rapping. And that's just what this is. It's effortless raps from Saba. It's incredible beats from legendary producer No ID. And again, this has kind of more of a mixtape feel without any, I don't think there's any major overarching theme here like his past couple of albums. I think this is just more him trying to showcase his excellence with an all-time producer. Songs like Head Wrap have been in rotation since they came out. Woes of the World is great. West Side Bound Part 4. Even a few songs. Oh, that's the album, the other album I was talking about. A Few Good Things. How to Impress God is also pretty awesome. But yeah, this is what I said. This is 9 for me. This is just an easy, like, again, mixtape type of vibe that you could throw on. That's also great quality raps as well. Which brings us to my number 8, which I initially had a little bit higher going into this. But I just, I had to try and leave my bias off on this one because Joey Badass is always going to be one of my favorite rappers. He always will be. He is someone I got into at kind of like that pivotal point in your life when you're first getting into, like, at least for me, when I was first really into listening to music, in particular hip-hop, and here in 1999 for the first time, that stuck with me. And 1999 will never not be one of my favorite projects of all time. He will probably never hit that high again. And it's not because he's doing anything wrong. Part of it's nostalgia and all these other things, right? I could get into my whole theory about how the first album you hear from an artist kind of shapes your perspective and that type of listening relationship you have with them going forward. Let me know if you want to hear more about that maybe in the future. I could always make a video on it. But regardless, Lonely at the Top was a welcome addition to Joey's catalog. Very solid album. It's about the same caliber as Before the Money, in my opinion, for where I'd put it in his catalog. And he tried to brand this kind of like more as a mixtape. I hate the album cover, by the way. The album cover is kind of grotesque. I don't like looking at it. No offense to the artist who made it. It is an awesome, like, painting. It's a very awesome painting just of something weird. I mean, I understand it's like abstract expressionism of what Joey views himself as being the kind of the lonely at the top. That's how he feels right there. But besides the point, I just don't like looking at it. Dark Aura, awesome introduction. I love this, like, very gritty mafioso sound where it's like has almost like Griselda style production, but Joey is very much kind of in like a early 2000s Jay-Z bag where he is just flexing, braggadocio, he's the Don. It goes over super well. But that's kind of not like the issue with this album. This album's kind of just all over the place sonically, where then Swank White kind of keeps that vibe. You got Westside Gunn on there. It's that like abstract hip-hop instrumental, kills it. Then you get Superfly, that is kind of like an early 2000s throwback dance track, which also goes hard as fuck, but just completely unexpected. Haven't heard anything like it from Joey. High Roller with A$AP Ferg is a cool song. Then you got the run of tracks, Underwater, 3 Feet Away, Speeding Through the Rain, that are all like cool songs that I like. They're deep. They kind of have these aquatic, like very light, vibey sounding instrumentals where Joey's kind of experimenting with his vocal delivery, doing quick flows at some points while doing slower ones at others. He is like rapping about his personal life, rapping about feeling lonely at the top, rapping. I mean, you could look at the titles for these songs, Underwater, 3 Feet Away, kind of these euphemisms for feeling lonely in success. That's what he's rapping about here, and it's very interesting. I like these songs, and I like that Joey is getting personal and vulnerable, and he's really giving us his authentic self. I just think that he still has to kind of refine that sound for me to like truly appreciate what he's going for. Like, it's good. Those songs, they don't hit the great mark for me. I do still love this album. BK is fine. It's also a great posse track, but this is honestly like an album that I think with time might just continue to fall down this list. I don't like saying that again because I love Joey, but even from when I first heard it to now, like my opinion on it has just continued to drop, continue to leave my rotation, because part of my appreciation for this album is just the fact that it's new Joey Badass. So we'll see what I think about this album in a couple years, but I still think this thing is pretty fucking awesome. It's tight, it's fun. Definitely some nitpicks I got, but it works. My number 8. So my number 7, controversial pick right here, putting it over Joey Badass, but shout out to the West. The Good, the Bad, and the Dollar Menu by Ray Vaughn. Counting the honorable mentions, is the third West Coast rap album I had on the list, but it is the only one that actually cracked the top 12. This album is honestly, I'll be completely honest right now, has not been in my rotation a whole bunch recently. But man, when it comes to an album that is like a conscious rap album, kind of like what I was talking about with Starline, this album kind of does that, where it is very socially conscious, very much commenting on black play, very much commenting on socio-racial politics and economics, but it's not doing it through overt observations. It's throwing it through Ray Vaughn's personal experience and it's great how he's able to give you his authentic self, rap about growing up and how he came up, his experience in the rap game, his experiences struggling to make money, but also do it in a way that's what's the word I'm looking for? In a way that's like a critique of society as well, and a critique of the conditions within California, within where he grew up, within the United States, that caused him to grow up like this and causes a lot of other people to this. Well, you also have room on here for a swanky West Coast banger like Look at God. I mean, this album is just like a great listening experience overall. And Ray Vaughn just happens to also be a great rapper and lyricist. So all these things come together to make a pretty awesome project here. Now I move on to my number 6. I'm going to be honest. Some of y'all, if you've been enjoying the list up to this point, you might stop right now. Music by Playboi Carti coming in at number 6, right outside the top 5. Yes, this album is 30 songs. No, not all of these 30 songs are good. But damn, I mean, at least 1/3 of this album is truly top tier trap adjacent music. Genuine, when it comes to songs that I still love, are still in my rotation, that I think are Carti either doing something really unique or doing something that isn't unique super well. Like, if we're just going to list off the songs that I love, absolutely love on this album: Pop Out, Evil Jordan, Mojo Jojo, Rather Lie, Backdoor, Crank, Good Credit. Let's see what else we got here. Olympian, Like Wheezy, and HBA. That's 10 right there. Songs that I think are just absolutely incredible, unique, that are still in rotation to this day. Yes, weaker songs. There are weaker songs here. This isn't the most concise or consistent album of all time, but it hits a number of different vibes. It's very vocally and production-wise super experimental out there. Unlike a lot of other stuff we've heard in the mainstream, so for this album to be as successful as it is, given all that stuff, I think is super cool. But for it also to be so high quality, I also think is very cool. This is going to be the album that really sets the tone for the Atlanta scene in the mainstream and how they will continue to progress. Awesome album here at number 6. Number 5, we get the second to last New York rap album that will be appearing on this list. And if you haven't heard this one, don't call yourself a real hip hop guy if you haven't familiarized yourself with the Emperor's New Clothes yet this year. Oh man, this album is great because unlike it is concise. It is very concise. Like, yeah, you got 17 tracks here, but 4 or 5 of them are skits. And just every song here is just like pretty peak like boom bap rapping. It's still like, yes, it's kind of it's kind of redundant in its typical Raekwon lyricism about, moving packs and pounds and being the toughest guy around the town. Like, he's not reinventing the wheel with the content he's getting into on this project. He's not. I gotta be completely honest. But it sounds like he has refined his sound to also not just like refine the quality, but refined it to the modernity, just to match the modern day kind of sound where it's not super dated. It's not like this crass underground sound like he had going on Only Built For. This is very polished production for the most part. Every song here is awesome. I love these luxurious boom bap beats. Ray is always is and will be one of the most captivating MCs in the game. So this album just comes together perfectly, and really just honestly took me by they caught me off guard. Obviously not as good as Only Built For Cuban Links, but I would comfortably say this is better than Only Built For Cuban Links too. And I like that album. I just re-listened to it recently, but this is just concise. It feels like kind of different for Ray, at least in my experience listening to Ray, but also just so at home in terms of just being quality raps and bars about moving pack. Not much else to say about it, but my number 4 is the opposite. It is also very refined, but it is not these same polished instrumentals that Raekwon was doing. Last New York rap album here, produced by Havoc and produced by The Alchemist, 2 of the most notably gritty, dingy style. Both of them practically follow the style that Griselda is running with now. Infinite by Mobb Deep, which yes is technically a posthumous album considering some of Prodigy unfortunately passed away in 2017, I believe. Rest in peace to Prodigy. So you could see when listening to this album how Alk had to kind of work around these Prodigy verses they already had, but they did a great job crafting these tracks for this album, just crafting this album in general. It's awesome. Again, I like that kind of musty 90s vintage feel with the productions, where again it's not this polished mainstream adjacent boom bap sound with these great horns and triumphant violins. It's very damper. But favorite tracks here, Against the World is awesome. Easy Bruh is cool. Down For You with Nas, sick track, absolutely sick track. Mr. Magic is awesome. My Era is just an ode to classic hip hop. Clear Black Nights with Raekwon and Ghostface Killah. just feels like being, at least I imagine it feels like, just the revival of classic 90s rap. I mean, these guys are just on their shit. Pour the Henny, I would say, is probably my favorite track here overall, though. I mean, yeah, at 15 tracks long, this is super concise. The lyricism, raps are on point. I mean, Prodigy, in form. Again, God rest his soul, but one of the best to ever do it, genuinely. Havoc, no slouch either. I also think definitely a shout for a top 50 rapper of all time. So when you factor those things in, you're getting great raps, great verses, great lyricisms, where, again, it's not, you get twinges of personality and authenticity, and you even kind of get that feeling of that looming death from Prodigy's verses at points, the way he raps. But overall, he is kind of just rapping about a mix of the lavish and street lifestyle that he was living throughout his life. And it results in just a super great album. Super awesome and easy listening experience that you could show to a longtime Mobb Deep fan or use it to introduce somebody to Mobb Deep. Just an awesome album. Now we are moving on to the top three. Top three right here. Kicking it off. The last Atlanta album of 2 Atlanta albums we had on here. God Does Like Ugly by J.I.D. Man, it's no secret this guy's one of the best in-form rappers in the game right now. And I mean, this album is just proof of that, because it's out, like, God Does Like Ugly kind of does this thing where it comes off like such an effortless performance from Jid. Every song, every rapping verse on here just comes off so light and like it was nothing to him. But yet there is so much personality. There is so much perspective. There is so many just small details and concepts that are woven throughout this album so well. This is one of those albums where it feels like every track kind of has a point or a theme that it's speaking to, has an idea or a thesis that it's speaking to. Well, yet the whole album itself kind of has these overarching themes about mainly spirituality, mainly about black plight, that kind of also trickle their way through every single song on this album, even if not all of these songs are overtly about that. You take a song like the outro for Keeps, which is a great song where J.I.D. is kind of detailing his relationship with his fans, thanking them for his success. And yet you still have lines on here that relate to the main theme of spirituality, G's relationship with a higher power, his relationship with his recently born son and becoming a father. I mean, the Forever Story was very much about family, but this is more about family in the sense of becoming a father. But the spirituality is here. The actual sonics as well, in terms of the sound of these songs. He had so many different vibes here with more like R&B type cuts with the beautiful Wholeheartedly with Ty Dolla $ign and Black. You also have No Boo with Jessie Reyez, which is a major highlight here. But then you would also just have incredible rapping performances like Glory, G's, You Ugly by Westside Gunn, which is a beautiful opener to the album. Then you got a gritty rap banger, Community, which features Clips, which is just this hard-ass beat where you got J.I.D., Malice, and Pusha T just kind of all rapping about Virginia. And I love how Jid sets up rapping about it as like he was, going there. I believe he was playing college football there. Kind of raps about his experience, and then he kind of brings on Clips and is like, oh, but, I forget what the exact line he finishes it off is, but it's a perfect segue that brings in these just, again, incredible 2 verse of the year's contenders right here with Pusha T and Malice's separate features, which again kind of also bring in, again, speaking about their gritty, drug-adjacent come-up in Virginia. They're rapping about that, but also, again, you have woven through the themes of like black plight, the themes of critiquing the structures in the United States that allow the type of lifestyle they live to come through and to come into fruition. And it's just such a good song, whether you're just listening for the vibes or you're listening because you want to hear what these guys have to say. You have a bouncy track like Skate with Ciara and Earthgang, which is just super fun. What We On with Don Toliver is also an amazing track that I just don't even like. It's just such an outlier on this track list that it doesn't really sound like anything else, yet it fits here so well. I could praise this album for days. I think this is JID's second best album. He is someone who just gets better and better and better and better. Speaking of someone, though, who continues to get better and better and better, not quite a rap album, but I think No Doubt falls under the hip-hop umbrella, which is what we do here. So, we talk hip-hop. Released early on this year, Hurry Up Tomorrow by The Weeknd. This album, incredibly cinematic. It is, of course, the final to his After Hours, Before Dawn, Hurry Up Tomorrow trilogy. And it does not disappoint. The Weeknd singing, just his voice feels as crisp as ever. And he's kind of, he closes off that trilogy strong. You got incredible tracks. Two of my favorites being Niagara Falls and I Can't Wait to Get There. You get a variety of different soundscapes, like comparing those songs to like something like Reflections Laughing with Travis Scott and Florence and the Machine featured on there. I mean, it is just amazing the different types of pockets that The Weeknd manages to get in here. Well, again, kind of having this cohesive narrative going throughout the story about his downfall. And it does truly play out like a movie. He does a great job of cinematizing the music and kind of creating these vibes and these scenes where he is kind of illustrating exactly what he wants to, what he's trying to, get across with the lyrics. He's doing a great job with the production, with the features of just adding to this and making it sound complete, as well as the skits featured on here. I mean, this is just an incredible album, amazing album. I think this is another one that, I think time will truly, tell what the verdict is going to be on this one, because obviously this is still such, a huge album in terms of, the quality of the art, the magnitude it has on The Weeknd's career, and just a big album in general that it's still, you can't digest an album in just a day, in just a week, even though this album came out in late January. I mean, I think any album, you need a certain amount of years before you can really give a definitive dissection of it. But I think this album is just fucking awesome. It's good vibes. You could throw any of these songs on in any type of situation, and you will just be mesmerized by the singing performance. But now, the moment you've all been waiting for. Moving on to our number one album of the year. And if you even at all remotely follow myself on any type of social media, keep up with my opinions, or if you even remotely pay attention to hip-hop at all, you could have guessed this one. I gotta be honest, I'm not coming through with the most original or with the most, swaggy pick out here. I'm not coming through with the hot take or the showstopper, the one that nobody is else is gonna agree with. I'm not coming through with the clickbait pick for my number one. Because quality is quality. And this number one album has just been on repeat every single song. There's not a weak song. There's not a weak moment. There's not a weak second of runtime on this project. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about Let God Sort 'Em Out by The Clipse, Pusha T, Malice, and Pharrell. Back in form like they never left, dropping the best album of their career, the best album of the decade. An album that, based on my projections, based on my personal opinion, will be enjoyed, remembered, and hailed as one of the greatest hip-hop albums for at least the next 50 years. You could say I'm glazing it, you could say it's too early, but albums like this don't come out very often. Albums like this come out very rarely. A 13-track, concise masterpiece where, again, there is not a weak second of runtime on this album. No, there is not any deep conceptual stuff going on here. No, there's not any super original themes and completely experimental, boundary-pushing production going on here. Sometimes there are albums where the music and the rapping and the production is just undeniable. That even if you're missing out on some of those aspects that make other albums the classics that they are, like the experimentalness of Mad Villain by MF Doom and Madlib, like the sheer storytelling and conceptual execution of an album like Good Kid, Mad City by Kendrick Lamar. The groundbreakingness and boundary pushing of a hip-hop album like Illmatic by Nas, which absolutely changed the game. I think this is more like an album like Life After Death by the Notorious B.I.G., where the music is just so undeniable and every song is just amazing. You can't even pick a worse song on this album. You couldn't if you tried. I mean, I could. It's probably going to be Ace Trumpets, but that's not a bad song. It's not a worse song. Some of you guys might say it's Glaze. Some of you guys might say it's too early. But when I'm listening to music for my personal taste, I know when I hear it. I know when I hear it. And like when I listen to The Blueprint by Jay-Z for the first time and you are greeted by these lush, luxurious instrumentals that make that album as incredible ear candy to listen to as it is. This is that same thing where, again, you get moments of, personal storytelling on the beautiful, beautiful intro, The Birds Don't Sing. One of the most brutally honest and painful songs to listen to that has come out this year. I mean, that song, the lyricism is so vivid, could genuinely bring a tear to my eye. There's still, you get moments that are referencing the death of the Clips' parents throughout the rest of the album. You get moments that reference the rap game and how lucky these guys are to be alive and how they care about their families, their own separate families, and their own separate children, Clips and Malice and Pusha T. You get those moments all across here. Again, it's kind of an overarching theme, because what these songs are about, it's making money. It's about moving packs across state lines. It's about being fly as hell. It's about living a luxurious life. This album is very braggadocious. Yet, despite missing, again, a kind of through line, that again makes an album like an atrocity exhibition by Danny Brown so revered. This album doesn't need that. This is just, you listen to this album and you're like, wow, this is just incredible, incredible hip-hop. It's not very often you hear an album that is this high quality the whole way through, because you know that you were just listening to a classic. Anyways, you guys be sure to let me know what you think of my ranking in the comments below. Be sure to drop your own ranking in the comments below, because I want to know what you guys think. Do you completely disagree with me? Please tell me. I appreciate you if you made it to this point in the video. Thank you for tuning in today. Have a great day. Stay blessed. I'll see you next time, all right? Peace.